Okay, looking at square roots and cube roots in equations, it sounds a whole lot harder than it is. If you can solve this, you can solve the equation. All we're talking about is taking something like this and setting it equal to x. So this time you're going to see things like x is equal to negative, or the square root, square root of 64. So to solve this, we're going to think, okay, what times itself gives me 64? And we should know that's 8. So x is going to be equal to 8. And then remember, with square roots, you have two solutions. And that's going to be the positive and the negative. So x equals 8, and x also equals negative 8. That's all we're looking at with these equations. Now, I could also give you, I'll tell you what, let's erase this. The type of equation you're going to see more often than not is going to be x squared equals some number. Okay, now we're going to use some easy numbers, so let's do 25. This is the same thing we've been doing. It still means a number times itself that gives me 25. Now we can, when I word it like that, we know that our answer is going to be 5 and negative 5. With the math behind it, we need to know what the inverse or the opposite of squaring is. So if I square something, I'm multiplying it times itself. To get rid of that, I have to take the square root. And I'm going to do this in a different color just so that we can see it a little bit better. And we know with equations, whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other. So if I take the square root over here, I have to take the square root here. So here, my square root and my squared, those cancel. So that's all gone. I'm left with x. Now over here, the square root of 25, we already said that's going to be 5. And also remember, there's a second solution. So x equals negative 5. So it's the same thing we've been doing. It's just, it looks a little bit different. Still not difficult. Okay. Let's look at another one with a square root. So maybe there is x squared equals 36. I don't think I've used that one yet. So once again, I need to get x by itself. X is squared right now, so I need to undo that. To undo a square or a power, I need to take the square root. So x squared, let's take the square root. Whatever is done over here has to be done over here. So I also need the square root of 36. So my exponent cancels, my square root cancels. I'm left with x. And what times itself gives me 36? And that's going to be 6. And it is also going to be negative 6. Now, if you end up having one of these and it does not have one of those pretty numbers inside, something we call it a perfect square. Those really nice ones that give us whole numbers. Let's say I get something like x squared equals 41. That is not going to be a perfect square. It doesn't give us a whole number when we take the square root. If that's the case, it's still not a problem. You have a calculator for a reason. You'll still take the square root of both sides. It still cancels. But this time I get x equals, and you'll come over here and type it in. Second square root 41, close your parentheses and enter, and you get 6.403 and on and on and on. Okay, for most of these you'll have instructions to round, so I'll say that this is about 6.4, and we know that this is also going to have a negative solution, so x is about negative 6.4 as well. So those are your square root equations. You're also going to see cube root ones. They are just as simple. It's the same exact steps. So I'm going to have x cubed equals 27. Now to get rid of an exponent that's to the second, I take the square root. If I have an exponent to the third, I need to take the cube root. That's all that's going to cancel it. So whatever I do over here, I need to do over here. So I will also take the cube root. Now, just like the last one, these cancel. So my exponent, my cube root, those are gone. I'm left with x. And this right here, all you have to do is type in. So I'm going to clear that out. I've got 3 second caret button 27 and hit enter. And I've got 3. And thinking back, with cube roots, there's only going to be one solution. -3 would not be a solution to this. Okay, so once you get to this point, you're done. Another one with that. Let's say you had x to the third equals -125. This one is fair game. I can have that negative because this is a cube root. Now, if it was a square root, I'd just be out of luck. But for this one, same way. To get rid of that third, I have to take the cube root, take the cube root over here, and we already know this is going to cancel, so I have x equals, and all you have to do is type that in. So once again, I'm going to cover it up for a minute. 3 second caret -125, and that gives us -5. So x is equal to -5.